What's going on, guys? This is Joe with McCpicks breaking down UFC Fight Night card. Kevin Holland taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We have 15 scheduled bouts. Takes place in Orlando, Florida. So, what I would like to do with this video is break down each matchup, mostly from a betting perspective, not take too much time, give you guys my pick, who I think is going to win the fight, and give you guys my best bet. Try and find some value on each of the matchups. Hopefully, win some money. Um, this is kind of my raw thoughts, so I'm sure I'm going to miss some points I'd like to make, but it is what it is. All right, so we have 15 scheduled bouts. Let's get right into it. First matchup is Estela Nunez taking on Yasmin Yagori. And from a betting perspective, looking at this line, it's wide. It's really wide. Let's see what we got here. Um, Yasmin is a big favorite, sitting at anywhere from like minus 350 to minus 375, with Nunez as a plus 280 underdog. So I actually really like this fight to kick off the card. A lot of people are going to knock it, but it's actually a banger of a fight. I'm actually really impressed with Nunez's striking. She's a really good striker. Um, she doesn't have too much experience. She has 3 losses on her record, but if you kind of dig into it, it's all against predominant grapplers. And this fight will more than likely play out on the feet because Yasmin is more of that boxing style. But actually, in my opinion, Nunez is the faster, more explosive striker out of the two. She has shown some cardio issues in the past, but you have to take into account these were against mostly grapplers, and you got to think that the grappling took some energy out of her. And on the other hand, Yasmin is definitely a good prospect. She has the better cardio out of the two and the more sustainable game plan across 3 rounds. She looks pretty solid in the third round. But she's faced a low level competition. And she just made her UFC debut not too long ago, and that was against another fighter making her UFC debut. And I think she was only like 20 years old. So I actually think it's a good matchup for Nunez. Um, like I said, I think the line is wide. So my pick's going to be Nunez, and the best bet for this matchup would be Nunez on the money line, which can be found at plus 280 on Caesar Sportsbook. Next, we have Marcelo Rojo taking on Francis Marshall. So this one's going to be quick. My pick's going to be Francis Marshall. Not a lot of confidence in it, though, to be honest. He looked good on his Contender Series fight, again against another guy who's inexperienced, but he at least was able to push the pace, especially a grappling heavy pace, across 3 rounds. He's a durable guy, but he definitely looked green in the striking. Really, really hittable. And on the other hand, we have Marcelo Rojo, who hasn't had the best run in the UFC, but you got to take it to a level of competition into account. He's definitely the better striker of the two, the more dangerous striker. But both these guys are tough. Even though Rojo has been finished multiple times in the UFC, still very hard to finish in my opinion. It's usually a late finish. He's a tough guy. Um, but my pick is going to be Marshall, but like I said, no conviction or confidence in this pick. Um, so I wouldn't run to the bookies to bet this one. And the line currently right now is Marshall's around minus 180, minus 170, with Rojo about plus 145. So the pick's Marshall, but the best bet for me is going to be the over 1.5, which can be found in the minus 145 range. I think both guys are tough, and Marshall's not like some crazy finisher. So, all right. Next fight, Natan Levy taking on Gennaro Valdez. I'm going to go with my pick's going to be Levy here. He's just the more well-rounded fighter, in my opinion. He's more durable. He's just a more composed fighter in the cage, and he could push a grappling heavy pace. So Valdez is kind of a wild man inside of there. He's fought some subpar level of competition. Even on his Contender Series, we saw him get clipped by a low-level fighter, followed by getting knocked down at least 3 or 4 times in his UFC debut against Favola. So Valdez have never seen the scorecards, while Levy has multiple decision wins. So, in my opinion, Levy's the side. Like I said, he has the more sustainable game plan across 3 rounds. So the pick's gonna be Levy. Best bet is gonna be Levy money line, which can be found around minus 178 on FanDuel. Next, we have Tracy Cortez taking on Amanda Hebas. This is actually another tough one to call, and the line indicates that. It's almost a pick 'em. Cortez is a slight underdog. But Hebas, in my opinion, can be tough to bet against sometimes. She has really good cardio. She's a good striker, high output on the feet, and her grappling solid. She has been knocked out a couple times in the past, so durability is an issue, but Cortez is not some crazy power puncher or anything like that. So not saying we don't have to worry about that, but she's not that hard of a hitter. Cortez, on the other side, has been really impressive so far in the UFC. Really good wrestling, good overall game. And in her last bout, actually was impressive to me. She was able to beat Melissa Gatto with her wrestling and stay safe in the grappling department. So I'm actually going to pick Cortez here. I think that she, already showed that she can grapple with these good uh, jiu-jitsu practitioners and stay safe and win minutes. So picks Cortez, and the best bet is going to be Cortez on the money line for me, which can be found at around plus 106 on the money line, which is available on FanDuel right now. But honestly, overall, I would say it's probably a pass because line, like I said, line is about a pick 'em, which seems about right. Okay, next we have Darren Elkins taking on Jonathan Pierce. You know, my pick's going to be Pierce here. There's no surprise being that he's sitting at minus 500 right now. Both guys have similar games, honestly. I think Pierce is a little bit bigger. He's obviously very, he's younger than Darren Elkins, but both guys have good cardio and they just are like relentless with the grappling. But I think just Pierce is younger. He's just better in those grappling exchanges. Um, so the quick breakdown, it's going to be Pierce for me as the pick. But actually, best bet wise, I'm going to go. I think this is going to be kind of a contrarian pick, but I'm going to go with the over 2.5, which can be found at plus 100 even money right now on a couple books. I think it's going to be a sweat, but both these guys are tough. They're not like, Elkins could get knocked out, but that's usually by a heavy hitter. Same with Pierce, but these guys are more so, favor the grappling. So I think the over 2.5 is not a bad lick, but like I said, it's going to be a sweat. Next, we have Mark Jacasey taking on Michael Johnson. My pick is going to be Mark Jacasey here. He's just shown that he can, especially over his last few fights, he can really implement a grappling heavy game plan. And that's been Michael Johnson's downfall throughout his career. We even saw Clay Guida not too long ago was able to take down and control Michael Johnson. So also Jacasey's younger. He has good cardio, and he's a durable guy. I don't think he's ever been knocked out. So quick one. This one's going to be Jacasey as the pick. Best bet, Jacasey on the money line at minus 270. Not a bad parlay piece. Or you can wait till the props are released to take Jacasey decision, which I have a feeling will open up about, around even money or so. That's not a bad look. Next fight is Clay Guida versus Scott Holtzman. Scott has had a rough go his past couple fights, albeit against really good level of competition. He took on Mateusz Gamrot and Beneil Dariush, got knocked out by both of them. Not a shocker there, though those guys are top 5 in the division. I think Scott has the better technical boxing. I think he's a little bit of higher output as well. Both guys can wrestle. Both guys have good cardio. You got to give the cardio edge to Clay Guida. He puts on a pace and he can sustain it over 3 rounds. I'm going to take Holtzman here, though. I think it's a decent buy low spot for him. You can get him on the money line at minus 148. So that'll be the best bet, Holtzman money line. Next, we have Angela Hill taking on Emily Ducote. I'm going to take Angela Hill here. She actually was impressive in her last fight. I know she's older, but she, like I said, she did a really good job in her last fight. She's a dynamic striker, high volume, has good cardio. I think the market is over exaggerating Emily because she was able to outstrike Jessica Penne, who anyone can do pretty much. She looked good against Penne, but she's Emily's kind of like plodding and flat on her feet. Hill is way more dynamic, moves around in and out, a lot more lateral movement than compared to Penne. So I think she'll give Emily trouble. So picks Hill. Best bet is going to be Hill on the money line, which can be found at plus 116 on FanDuel. Or not a bad look is taking the over 2.5 as a parlay piece. It's a little juiced, but I think it's pretty safe to hit. All right, here we go. We got a banger here. This is Nico Price taking on Phil Rowe. Before I looked into this, I thought I would be potentially taking a stab at Phil Rowe on the money line, but after looking into it, he's just not a minute winner, and he obviously hasn't versed the best level of competition. Nico Price has been in there with the best. He could has a pretty solid cardio, can implement his game plan over 3 rounds. Whereas Phil Rowe, he's kind of losing the fight until he's not. Against lower level guys, even like his last fight out, Jason Witt took him down first round, controlled him, and then Phil Rowe was able to keep it standing the second and knocked him out pretty quick. But I think that Price is going to give him issues. Price is not just going to burn himself out and then just be a punching bag in the second and the third round. He's going to be there in the third round. So the pick's going to be Price, but the best bet actually will be the under 2.5 rounds at minus 170. Could have got it at a little bit of a better price earlier in the week, but it's minus 170 now. If that's a little too steep for you, I would take Price on the money line, which can be found at around minus 135, I think. Let's see. Yes, minus 135. Next, we have Eric Anders taking on Kyle Dawkins. So another one, before I looked into it, I thought that the line kind of seemed wide, and I'd be taking a shot on Anders here. But after looking into it, I think Dawkins is definitely the side. He's historically durable, but he took a nasty knee to the face from Delize his last time out. Really, the only true advantages I give Anders in this fight are pure wrestling and defensive striking. Although Anders is nothing, to write home about in this area. But Dawkins is younger. He's the better boxer, in my opinion. Clear jiu-jitsu advantage. He's the bigger man, and he has solid takedown defense. So the striking defense is not good. I think it's sitting at 40%. But Anders isn't some prolific power puncher, so I don't think that's too much of a concern. And not to go down the narrative route, but prior to the Park fight, Anders was saying he would like to go on a run, and one final run in the UFC, but he ended up losing that fight. So you have to think that the fire, the motivation, the drive is more with Dawkins being the younger guy with a longer career ahead, whereas Anders has kids that are getting older. He's also occupying his time with other business aspirations outside the UFC, which I've heard on a number of podcasts. But both guys are tough. I can see it going to decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dawkins submits him. So pick for me is going to be Dawkins, and best bet will be Dawkins on the money line, which can be had around minus 200 on multiple books. Okay, another good fight coming up. Roman Dolidze versus Jack Hermansson. I just think Hermansson's the side here. He's way more experienced. Dolidze's taking this fight on short notice, which isn't a good look for him, being that he has demonstrated some cardio issues in the UFC. Hermansson's the better striker, way more volume and output on the feet. He's well rounded, so he could take it to the mat and be okay. Or if Dolidze takes him down, it's not like he's a fish out of water on the mat. Or he could take Roman down as well himself. So Roman Dolidze has pretty big power. He's a big dude, but I think the market is overreacting on him based on his last 2 fights. He hurt Phil Hawes, which who knows fragile. He's a good fighter, but he gets hurt often, and then he knocked out Dawkins with a knee. So my pick's gonna be Hermansson. I think he has the way better cardio as well. So Hermansson, and the best bet's gonna be Hermansson on the money line, which can be had around minus 150 on multiple books. Next, we have Tai Tuivasa taking on Sergey Pavlovich. This is another banger of a fight. These guys are going to meet in the middle of the octagon and just throw down. Probably will end in the first, probably by KO. But for me, the pick actually is going to be Pavlovich. He's just a big dude, really like a crazy reach advantage here. I think it's like 8 or 9 inches. He looks to be improved since he got knocked out 3 or 4 years ago against the Reem. and I just think that he's going to be able to catch Rivas on the chin. Pavlovich has a crazy jab. It's like a piston. But you never know. So the pick's going to be Pavlovich, but the best bet's going to be the under 1.5 rounds because, like I said, I think someone's getting finished here. Under 1.5 rounds, you could have it at minus 195 on DraftKings. I think another good look for this fight would be the fight ends by knockout, TKO. Props not released yet. I would imagine it's going to get released at minus 250 to minus 300. So a little steamy, but not a bad parlay piece. Next, we have Mateusz Nicolau taking on Matt Snell. I think this line is wide, to be honest. I agree with the opener more. Now, um, let's see. Nicolau is sitting at like minus 360, minus 75, 375, whereas Matt Schnell is plus 300. I think Nicolau wins, but I don't think the line should be this wide. He's a dog in there. I mean, if you haven't seen his last fight against, I forgot who it was, tall Asian dude. Anyway, Schnell was losing, and he came back and ended up just ground and pound to, I think he got a triangle finish on the mat. So if Schnell is a finisher, I think he's pretty tough though. He's been finished a number of times, but he's a tough dude. Um, but the pick's gonna be Nicolau. No real conviction with it because Nicolau, although he's had success in the UFC, he hasn't really put a stamp on fights. A lot of like unanimous decisions, but a lot of them are like, he'll give up a round. So the pick's gonna be Nicolau. Best bet is gonna be actually the over 2.5 rounds, which can be found at minus 140 on DraftKings. This fight is at flyweight. I know Schnell is a finisher, kill or be killed fighter, but Nicolau just doesn't have that killer instinct. And I think this one goes to the scorecards. Next, we have Brian Barberina taking on Rafael Dos Anjos. Picks RDA here, but it's wide, I think. Well, I guess it's about right. RDA is sitting about minus 500. Barberina could be had plus 420 on DraftKings. I think, RDA is just a better, more skilled fighter, has fought the better level of competition. He's older, but I feel like these guys are the same age, even though there's like a 6 or 7 year age difference. I feel like Barberina just has a lot of tread on the tires, or doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. These tires are worn. Um, so yeah, you got to go with RDA here. I think he's a decent parlay piece, but honestly, I think it's gonna be a pass for me overall. And in the main event, we have Kevin Holland taking on Stephen Thompson. Solid main event, to be honest. I'm really looking forward to this one. So I have Holland here. He's the pick. I think he just has too many advantages in this matchup. Not to, take a stab on him. He's 9 years younger. He has a substantial height reach advantage. I think he's more durable. He's the better finisher out of the two. If anyone grapples, it's going to be Holland. So I think he just has all the attributes to win this fight. Both guys are experienced. But Wonderboy hasn't. I don't think he's ever faced someone with the length, the height, and the reach that Holland has. So this will likely stay, be a striking affair. But if there were some grappling, you got to favor Holland in that area. Both guys are durable, but if anything, Holland has a durability advantage. We've seen Stephen Thompson knocked out by Pettis. We've also seen him knocked down multiple times in the UFC. Whereas on the other hand, Holland has never been finished by strikes or knocked down officially in the UFC. Both guys have good cardio, but I can see a finish in this fight, maybe a knockout finish from Holland, but it's tough to be confident in that. So I just think, Wonderboy at 39 years old, he's just out of his prime, where Kevin Holland at 30 is basically at his peak. So pick is going to be Kevin Holland. He can be found, and he's also be the best bet on the money line, around minus 126 currently on FanDuel. So that wraps it up. 15 fights, actually a really good fight night card. If you liked the video or enjoyed the video, hit that like button. You can subscribe. That'd be appreciated. And you can give some feedback in the comments or on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at McCpicks, McCpicks. And so for the future, I'll try and get these videos out early to maybe, beat some line movement. So we can make some money. All right, good luck.